Alright, so we're doing our last two types, and then that's it. So, this one, if you look, is going to be slightly longer because we're dealing with, hold on, let me just be active here. We're going to start either with mass or with particles, but there's no way we can go there directly. There's no route there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go moles. So, if you remember, I said that moles is the central thing here. There's no way to go from here to here or vice versa. There's no other road. So we have to go to moles first. Every problem in this chapter, you're going to deal with moles. So if you're not, it means you're doing something wrong. Alright, so what we're going to do is kind of see and plan out what we're doing here. So, we want atoms, and we are given 100 grams of gold. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start in grams. We're going to go to moles. And then from there, we're going to go to atoms. And again, you can stop and think about gold. So gold is AU. Sorry, that should be AU, not AW. Let's try that again. But it is an atom, so we don't have to do that extra step that we just talked about. If we would have to, you'd have an extra step on this. So what we're going to do, if we look here, first thing we're going to need is our molar mass. Get us to moles. Second thing we're going to need is Avogadro's number, and that's going to take us to particles, which in this case is atoms. So we're going to start with our thing here. We have 100 grams. First thing we're going to do is go to moles. So 1 mole of gold is from your periodic table, and that is 197.0 grams. Next thing we need to do is, now we're in moles, we need to go to atoms. And again, that's using Avogadro's number. So what we're going to do is use 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms in 1 mole. What you'll notice is that everything cancels. Grams cancel. Moles cancel. And what we're left with is atoms, which is what we want. If this does not happen when you do your problem, you did it wrong. You know you're wrong. So if we do our math, we should get our answer, which is going to be 3.056 times 10 to the 23rd gold atoms. Again, I have 4 sig figs in my answer because I started with 4 sig figs. My number is right. I labeled what chemical I was talking about, and I talked about atoms. The last problem for today is kind of the worst one that you could possibly do. This is the longest one. So, what we're going to do here is I'm just going to give you some information to make it go shorter. 1 mole of glucose weighs 342.3 grams. If you look at glucose, it's all nonmetals, which means when we're talking about moles of glucose, we are talking about molecules. And they're asking us specifically about oxygen. So if you look at glucose, it contains 11 atoms of oxygen. So what we're going to do on our chart is we're starting with 75 grams. And we want to go all the way to oxygen atoms. So what we're doing here is we're starting in mass. We're going to go to moles, which means we need our molar mass. We're going to go to particles, but for us, particles is going to be molecules. Which means we're going to have to do an extra step and go to atoms. Remember, we wouldn't have to do an extra step if this was an atom, but this is not, so we have to do it. So this is the worst kind of conversion I can make you do. And what it's going to look like is this. We have 75 grams of glucose. First thing I need to do is go to moles, and I need to do that using my molar mass, and we know that it's 342.3 grams. Now, if you look back here, We're in moles. We need to go to particles. So next thing we're going to do is say that 1 mole, oops, not what I want to go away, is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. And remember, this is molecules. And last step, because they forced us to, they said they wanted atoms. We're going to say that in 1 molecule, there are 11 oxygen atoms. Everything cancels until we get our thing. And it's 1.45 times 10 to the 24th oxygen atoms. So, I know this is hard. We're going to practice. But don't think for a second that you can just not pay attention and not practice this and do well on the test. This is something you've never seen before. This is something that's very abstract. And this is something that you need to be able to get. And you need to practice this to do this. So don't just sit in groups for the next 20 minutes and pretend that you get it when one person in your group understands it. If you don't understand what's happening, they're not going to help you on the test. So you need to make sure you really actually practice this, because that's what we're seeing with a lot of the tests. The people that understand it, get it, and they get A's. But the people that just sit there and pretend, they're not doing well. And you need to start making the decision that, hey, I want to do well, and I'm going to actually learn the material.